Theresa May vowed to implement the most messy of divorces. But ultimately, the mammoth task of overseeing Brexit saw her deal with the EU fail time and time again to win the approval of the British Parliament. And today, Theresa May is stepping down as the leader of the Conservative Party, but not as Prime Minister quite yet. Well, to discuss all this and more, I'm joined on set now by Sophie Loussouarn, a lecturer at the University of Picardy. You're also a specialist in British politics and the author of two books, one of them called David Cameron, a 21st century conservative. Thank you very much indeed for coming on to speak to us here on France 24.
Pleasure.
Now, May has repeatedly said that she did everything she could to implement Brexit. Does that ring true to you?
Well, I think in many ways she missed her moment, and her strategy from the very beginning was the wrong one. She completely obliterated the 48% of Remainers in the referendum on the 23rd of June 2016. I mean, we have to bear in mind that Brexit won by a very narrow margin. 51.9%, it's just 4%. I do understand her point in delivering the vote of the people, but why did she promise a hard Brexit? Why did she rule with a small number of advisers? And why did she organise the snap election in June 2017 when she lost her majority and had to have a coalition with the Democratic Unionist Party of Northern Ireland, which weakened her tremendously? So I think she was very rigid and never managed to find a compromise. So she tried to negotiate with the 27 EU members, but she never managed to unite the party and to unite the country behind her. She had a very difficult task. I mean, putting an end to 45 years of history with the European Union was a very, very complicated task. Also, she appointed Boris Johnson as Foreign Secretary and David Davis as Brexit Secretary and Liam Fox as Trade Secretary. And there were Brexiteers. Liam Fox has remained in her cabinet, loyal to her. But of course, Boris Johnson and David Davis resigned after she presented Chequers' plan. And this withdrawal agreement has been very, very controversial. So now the next leader of the Conservative Party will either have to renegotiate her agreement, or if no agreement is reached, leave without a deal. And this is what some of the contenders agree.
Now, Prime Minister Theresa May is still Prime Minister for a number of weeks. There is some speculation that she might use this time to try and pass the less controversial elements of her divorce deal. Is that likely, do you think?
No, because I think Parliament, will have the final word. As the Speaker of the Commons said yesterday, John Bercow has reasserted the role of Parliament, and Parliament will have a final say in the Brexit agreement. And that's the reason why there may actually be a second referendum if no deal is found, because that is what John Bercow wants, to avoid a no-deal Brexit. And if Boris Johnson becomes the next Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, John Bercow will make sure that there is a deal. And as Jeremy Hunt, the Foreign Secretary, said, a no-deal Brexit would be a political suicide. So I think, the British would like to see Brexit implemented. And it's very important for British democracy to deliver Brexit, but not a hard Brexit, which would possibly lead to the breakup of the kingdom. And that is the major risk, because if Boris Johnson becomes Prime Minister, this could lead to a second referendum on Scottish independence, and who knows whether the Scots would vote to remain in the United Kingdom or to leave.
Absolutely,
and
huge question
join
mark.
the European Union. And the same question can be raised for Northern Ireland. Would Northern Ireland join Ireland? And then it would no longer be the United Kingdom, but Little England. And also, there is a huge task. This morning, I heard that maybe the Queen will have to take part in the Brexit negotiations, even though the monarch never takes part in politics in the United Kingdom. So, you know, Brexit has created a constitutional crisis, an economic crisis, with foreign companies threatening to leave the United Kingdom, with foreign investment, falling down slightly. The next Prime Minister will have a huge task ahead until the 31st of October, unless there is another postponement.
A very exciting time for British politics, indeed. Sophie Loussouarn, a lecturer at the University of Picardy and a specialist in British politics. Thank you very much indeed for coming on to speak to us.
My pleasure.
Here on France 24.
Thank you.